This is part 4 of the video book Do I Stand Alone? It contains writings dealing with politics, new voting method, fantasy concepts, and a final message. If you are not open-minded about such things, you should not read this. This book is part of Project A New World.
44. I know each government has their unique problems. We have a lot of work to do in modernizing our government, but thank goodness that we have the power to amend the Constitution. We must get money and corporate influence out of politics entirely. The entire election system is antiquated and not designed for a modern world. We must remove all gerrymandering that has been allowed on both sides. Electoral college should be gone. It's served us well for a time, but we have seen its flaws for decades now. We need a new improved system that is built for the future, but is still built on the foundations we all admire. No more political PACs of any kind. I think this just allows foreigners to buy a candidate. No corporation should donate even $1. They are not citizens. There are too many foreign owners in them. I have a fundamental problem with the two-party system, and I would like the future citizens to think of a change, and I am thinking of a new system that only now in time could even be possible. So you see, I'm not against the right, because, ultimately, I want to do away with the left as well. I want to usher in a new form of government based in what we have built already. But I want this new party to be the true majority and embrace, if not demand, that everyone participates. You take someone like Bernie Sanders. He is a guy that has devoted a lifetime of service to the people that have the least. I can only imagine the changes he would have made if he was ever able to win the presidency and majority in both houses. I think we really missed out on something great. Remember, he did not have the investigative issues that Clinton had, and when the scandals were dropping at the end of the election, he would have been fine and probably won. How sad is it that we had to live through what we have been through since 2016? It would have been interesting to have had him take us through the pandemic instead. Many lives could have been saved. I trust people like that to do the right thing. There are many people that I appreciate in our government and would like to support their efforts in trying to give everyone a better life. I think educated and trained politicians are the right people to run our government. We just need to get the money and popularity seeking out. I don't want to see politicians turn into millionaires while in office. Get reasonable term limits, no more lifetime appointments for anything in our government, especially those judges, and the system could be fine. I sometimes don't understand how these long-serving people have such a hard time letting go of the torch and give it to the next generation. I want to trust people that want to spend their careers to help us with government function, but they can't sit forever in one position. There has to be term limits on everything. We are not going to have people acting as rulers. No more people with so much seniority that everyone must bow to their wills. We need new blood to be as able as old blood in making decisions or implementing new ideas, because we can't have men that hold back a country for decades anymore. Government and its leaders need to stop being a form of entertainment. It should return to function and not a popularity game of just running around the country trying to get in front of the camera. We don't need those click chasers in our government. I would like someone with a record I can see, and not some celebrity that is rich and popular. We have seen how inexperienced individuals can cause great harm when they don't understand things. 45. Besides getting money out of politics, I believe we can come up with a democratic voting system that we are only now are technically able to implement. The government does a good job of securing key important websites like Social Security or the IRS. This new voting system could have no more voting booths other than an application that anyone could have on their phone or home computer. We are an electronic society, so we will vote electronically, and every person eligible to vote will be able to easily log in and vote without having to stand in a long line on a certain day. How in the world in this modern time, can we have a decision as important as the leadership of our country, influenced by what the weather was that day? The government could provide kiosks in large population areas and all public libraries that are able to use for voting, vote updating, and all other information related to voting of our public officials. No more registering at all. On your 18th birthday, your voting ability will automatically activate. Every single person that has a valid USA Social Security number will be eligible to vote when 18. That will end all voter suppression. We will learn from Australia and demand participation the best we can. They have a small fine if you refuse to vote, but we can find better ways to encourage voting. I rather work with incentives first, over punishments. The way we have handled voting in the past is you get elected, and you are safe till the end of your term if you don't commit any crime. We need more accountability out of our politicians in the future. Technology now can allow us to maintain a constant read on your performance. You do a bad enough job, the electorate can now have a lever to remove you mid-term with no appeals. You see, we don't just vote once for someone but every day. All federal politicians could be held in office by a continuous 5-star vote, or I call C5SV. When there is an election, you will vote for who you support. The election winners will then all start at 5 stars after an election. That 5-star rating stays active till you decide to change it. If they are not meeting your expectations or say flipped their stance on an issue you felt was important, you can log into your voting account and lower your rating for that person. You could do it gradually or all at once. The degrade of your support is seen by the politician's staff immediately and is reflective of that politician's confidence score. Politicians can track in real time how their performance is reflective in the electorate. They know the exact issue, can take steps quickly to try and improve their favorability and confidence scores. So you have a way to show your representatives exactly what they do that you don't like. All score totals are constantly up on the site for everyone to see anytime. Now, if there ever comes a time that you want to remove your vote altogether, you can change your vote to a 0. They will always see their 0 count. If their 0 count ever goes above a certain percentage, say maybe 70%, they could be removed from office and an alternate step in till the next election. The alternate could be automatically eligible in that upcoming election. I just think we need to be able to have a way to show a politician what the voters think and give the voters the power to remove bad actors before they do too much damage. This system could save us from a poor leader in a crisis that isn't able to keep us safe. Never again will we, the majority, be held hostage by someone slipping through the system from the effects of gerrymandering and voter suppression. We will be fully empowered to make a change anytime the majority speaks. I believe the states could benefit from a system like that as well. Basically, we can put performance monitors on all elected officials, including law enforcement and judges. I know that many will just run to zero out the person they didn't vote for right away, but maybe we will learn to become less reactive and give people a chance first. I think the federal government should handle the voting site. As we can now see, we cannot always trust 50 states to all do it correctly. They can pull their results from the federal site. So basically, just like their local voting booth, their US voting account at vote.gov will be able to handle all local, state, and federal voting in one secure site. No more worries how one state or another runs their voting laws. Federalize all voting and let them secure it. Vote.gov will be the source of all information about an elected official or candidate. We will have to build new primary and voting processes, but I'm sure that it's possible if we want it. The candidate's record will all be easily available online, including all their past. Every single thing you do in government is easily seen, every vote, bill authored, and every stat available in a click, and the majority will want to know in the future. There will be plenty of space for each candidate to post anything they want to say in video, text, or other method. It could be a one-stop shop for everything government in all areas. You, for the first time, will be able to take your vote away and send their campaign the reason you changed your vote. They will see it, could be seen like an online review by everyone. We are used to the 5-star system across the internet. It's simple, familiar, and hard to fool because it is continuous, and you can't fake that. Fake ballots will never be a thing in someone's mind again. There is no such thing as a wrong counted ballot, rejected ballot. It's all open, constantly updated, and is continuously active. 46. I would like to say how much I dislike the two-party system and even individual leaders. I tend to think that it is best for long-term stability to not have individual with that much influence, and we are going through some of those events right now. Even here in the US, which is not what we are used to. The swing of the government with every change of the administration is getting harder and harder. To every 4 or 8 years, clear out the cabinet and swap them all with people that think the opposite of the ones leaving. That is how we got into this mess. Everyone hits us with their agenda, then slam it in place, then expect the other guys to run it like you do when they are in control. Usually they hate the program and just tear it apart or change it so it doesn't work and tell the other group that they told them in was no good. Obamacare is one example of this. The Republicans hated it, and when they were in control, they cut it, sued it, and did their best to kill it. Luckily, it survived, and today, like Social Security is so popular, I doubt anyone is going to be popular for attacking it. Isn't it interesting how one party in our country that wants and stands for everything a corporation or rich person wants is mostly fueled by citizens that need help the most and give them their power? How did they do that? Did you know slogans about pride was used by the kings of the past to turn people against the poor or make you feel ashamed if you were poor? I sometimes wish we could come up with a government system that is not so tied to one individual's mind. It's great when you have a good person, but just one bad one can wreck centuries of good leaders' hard work and legacies. I would like us to blend the top of government a little bit, and I just would like to find a way to protect the country from the sway of a single mind. I'm sure a better system is possible. I just have a hard time following the lead from just one mind and then to the next. We can get more consistent vision for our future instead of this plan or that, and then nothing gets done. If you look at many of the nations that had kings or rulers in the past, many have now handed control of the government to the people for the most part. But here in the home of the free, we currently seem to be going the other way. We don't have a lot of things we should have in the US, like high-speed rail not only in a couple states but a whole nationwide network. This and universal healthcare have been the enemy of the right for a long time. We have to stop being hostages to them wanting to hold down our development. We now have the technology to allow true majority rule, and hopefully a system could be made that they can agree on that didn't even exist before. No time but now would this type of government be possible, and I want people to think of what could be. I don't want to vote for you because what side you're on. I want to know your education and experience and record of voting so I see what I'm getting. I personally have a horrible history of voting and participation in our government in my early life, and Obama was the first president I voted for in my life. I was caught up in having the first black president, as I felt at the time that it might be the change we needed, and if people remember, change was a major slogan of his. I think he and the Democrats handled the recovery of the economy in 2008 with great success and brought us back to normal from another Republican administration. The right scorched him for spending, I think, about $2 trillion, but at least he didn't give $8 trillion to the rich when they didn't need it. I remember them standing there every day, telling us how great everything was. Then why the huge economic package? If everything is good, then why do the businesses and rich need more money? Because that $8 trillion evaporated, and I didn't hear many people rejoicing about how much money they were saving. Obama's $2 trillion plan saved a country from a financial meltdown. What great thing did that $8 trillion do that you can point at? I was very happy to see Obama tackle healthcare. I just wish he had more support from the left to pass what he wanted. If you look at the history of the last 40 years, you will see that the USA always prospered or recovered with Democrats at the helm, especially with Clinton. It was a very comfortable time financially when he was in office. Just Google the work he successfully did in our budget, and not allowing excessive waste without bulldozing down Social Security, education, veterans' health, and remove all faith in the sciences. It always seems like disasters in our nation happen on the Republican watch. From economic recession to large attacks on our people, BA 45 changed U.S. politics for the worst, and we need to decide now if that is the way it's going to be forever, or are we going to be able to claw back our democracy? The old Republican Party is gone, and the true intent of these people has birthed the MAGA Party and this Project 2025 plan. I never thought I would see such an uprising against science, gays and trans, immigrants, libraries, and non-idolatry education in my lifetime. It looks like some of the great-great-grandchildren of past immigrants have decided that we are full now and want to close the door to the land of opportunity and just keep it to themselves. They in themselves have decided to shut the door and go it alone in this world and treat nearly every other country as hostile, even our closest well-liked neighbors. To actually witness book burnings and open hate for our education and school systems, sometimes because their religious beliefs, then this all to be portrayed as the will of the majority of citizens is horrific to watch. Those book burners are not expressing my wants or ideas, just theirs, and I think there are many more that think like I do about that. The billionaires that control the media need to be put on notice to get out of control of the press. They know what they are doing to those that can't reason past their mental manipulations. I just always thought there was enough of those that could defend themselves from this tactic, but I guess I was wrong. The question is if there is a way to show people the mechanism they use to control them, especially since they keep using their faith in the divine to organize them, like issues of abortion or immigration, to unite a group of individuals against the other. How does a political party influence farmers across the country to hunt their own farm hands down that they rely on to function and bring their products to market? You vote in politicians that stop allowing you to sell your crops to the rest of the world at competitive prices without tariffs? Union bosses that ask their members to vote in a politician that, as a private businessman, lead the effort to produce goods in China, to sell in America, but only now screams "Buy American" to get in office after they made billions selling their China-made products for decades. Doesn't sound like those union bosses really have the workers' best interests in mind, but the billionaires they cozy up to instead. 47. In writing the original Do I Stand Alone, I was very sick at the time and did feel as if I didn't have much time left. So I sent out a rough draft of ideas straight from my mind and little organization. It was very hectic and included too many details that were not needed, but I didn't know how much time I had left, but things began to stabilize when I was finishing. They were a mixture of thoughts that at times contradicted themselves and made little sense, since it's hard to convey this much change in a few paragraphs. Plus, I was holding back because out of respect for someone. But she is gone now. I wrote about things like the Grand Council, Starboard, the Guardians, and Earthship 1, or ES1. I had never thought of these things prior to writing, so these were wildly unthought-out concepts that I later decided to drop from my writings because it was unrefined and a bit too far out there. At first, I could not understand what I was after, and it was only after a time I realized the intent. They were ideas for concepts to have some of the things we trust in God with, but in free God belief they seem missing. The belief that something is always looking after you and taking care of our world, like the Grand Council could do. The feeling you would have in being able to call for help in any situation, such as the Guardians would do, in addition to them helping keep the world safe from those that want to harm you. The ES1 that showed you the possibility of extending your life to live longer by us having the ability to slip through time and wake up in a future world without having to die so soon. If we ever develop the ability to sleep through part of a cross-galaxy journey, you could use it on Earth to extend your lifetime if you wished. I guess I was trying to bring in things that people admire in religious beliefs, but show that you could achieve an assemblage of those things in real physical life before you pass. You just need to see it. The thought of helping the living on Earth to travel and explore the universe is the first step in either finding other life forms or, if we find we are the first, begin the task to bring and spread life to worlds that may be compatible with life someday. To someday maybe finding a planet with early life forms and try to learn from it, and in the process, protect it from as much harm as we can from planetary events. So I am including a rough draft of them again now, but don't wish for it to be an obstacle to change. It is simply a way to give people a possible view and outlook of a future other than the doom and gloom of the second coming. Nobody alive today would ever witness such a group or thing because we have so much work to do to even reach a point that this future is even possible. We need to deal with climate change, voting, gun violence, and so much more first. It will take generations to just change people's minds on religion and correct our politics unless a miracle happens. We would need the cooperation of billions to stop climate change or even to slow it down. We need to help the poorer nations because they are still use polluting processes of our early industrial age that we abandoned. We know how polluting some of those things are, and they don't understand it yet, and feel as if they have no choice. We need to help the citizens of other countries to stop these abandoned practices, and help them with education of new, proper, non-polluting processes. I never thought we would have to fight for rights that were corrected decades ago, but because we allow beliefs that brought those ideas out in the first place, still exist, and history seems to repeat itself. So here is a trimmed-down version of these ideas, but they are just that, ideas for the future and not plans. If anyone were to read this, they must realize the enormous effort it would take to just break the cycle of religion. Maybe there is enough people in this world that feel the same as me, but I have no idea if anyone will ever even read all of this. 48. If you were in a group of people that are stranded and need to find a way to survive, who would you want to make the vital decisions for survival? Would it be the most popular, rich, or loudest? I think in desperate times, we look to the smartest for information we need to remain safe and alive. Those people don't need to be the leader of the group, but just the ultimate say for the survival of the group. In a time that knowledge is the most vital thing to have. If we are going to save this world, we should trust it to a group of individuals that have committed their life to knowledge. These are people that are at the forefront of each of our scientific community's endeavors on Earth. I would like to see the formation of a unique gathering of all the best scientific minds. These are people that are driven by passion and devote their entire life to just one thing and are rarely driven by money. We need to give these individuals that are willing to lead a team of devoted graduates that are mission-driven to educate and protect all life on Earth, and if found, life that exists anywhere in the universe. We organize 1,000 scientists to become the first Grand Council, or what I call the GC, because it would be made of the most knowledgeable people in all the fields of science, medicine, and engineers of all types that wish to find the next solutions and answers of life everywhere. The Grand Council and staff would be a self-supporting entity that are not part of any government or corporation. They are not rulers or leaders of any country on Earth and just maintain their status only from the demand and implementation of the work they do. Once formed, the Grand Council could begin a mission of putting together teams of researchers to develop new technologies and new safe and non-polluting alternatives to existing products, refinement and production methods. They will evaluate everything on Earth based on possible harm to life in any way, and not potential profit. We literally have billions of people that want the truth of our origins, and we know space may help us find more clues. Imagine that many of the top technology advancements are coming from this powerhouse of knowledge that is driven by its mission rather than profit. Maybe this organization of people could become an entity that is held in such high regard and trust that many will feel comfortable in supporting with donations and in the wills of the wealthy. This could ensure their continued success and give them more abilities. Hopefully, they will be successful in providing their technology and knowledge to companies in bringing new products to market and improving their already established products. Imagine the progress we could achieve if information is securely but openly travels among this organization, and not being hindered by wanting to keep their work secret because a corporation wants to profit from it. They have the ability to see each other's work, to collaborate, and have access to the same open source of experience and knowledge. That is why I believe that this group of humans could best handle our future development. We can't trust companies to keep us safe over profit. The moon is vital because it requires minimum force to leave. It has the closest access to planetary gravity. I see that we are going to crash the ISS into the ocean in 2030 and have no plans for any more joint ventures in space. We will then have each country introducing their own research vessels in orbit. I think that this could be the time for us to skip the next orbiting space station and just begin work on planning the first moon base. I think the USA and its partners should keep the cooperation going in learning the next step in our evolution. This gives us the first step in stepping to the stars, and I know if we can pull this off instead of having World War III, you will see how the lunar surface could be a hub of human activity and vitality important to future society. You can now start to see that we need something bigger than any one government, to help us develop a future living in space, and hopefully someday in the distant future, humans will touch another galaxy. It's possible, and I think it's better to start thinking now than later, because the climate clock is running fast. Sure, companies and countries will still be doing their own thing around the world, but the powerhouse of knowledge that the Grand Council could give mankind is not comparable. 49. Even the work of the Grand Council must be supported. They need a vehicle to administer their advice directives and interact with various governments and leaders. The Grand Council should pick a group of 5 long-standing members that have retired from active Grand Council work. These people are referred to as the Star Board. They resolve any conflicts that arise in the Grand Council or its interaction with various governments. They are only called in when we need to resolve a conflict with governments of Earth or other planet populations. We need to pick one group of people that we trust to give the final answer that is only guided by the potential harm to life and not profit, and it's settled. The Star Board could be the ultimate resolution for conflicts that involve harm to life in any way. I wanted to suggest that one or a few good billionaires could chip in to be the founders of the GC. I thought it could be in their will, but why not live to see it start now and possibly benefit from it? They are a lot of things in nature we don't know yet, and we might be able to learn some life-extending treatments sooner than you think. I know it sounds crazy and a dream at the same time, but I just don't know how anything is going to get fixed fast enough with businesses basically in control of our government leaders and judiciary. There is no way we will be able to make the big necessary moves we must make now without some drastic changes. We need people we can trust to keep us safe from the things we don't know about, that we know some large corporations do and won't tell us, because it looks like the government that we have now has been bought mostly, and the average voter has lost control. If we can get behind one new universal movement, maybe that impossible needle could be pushed, but we need to take that big first step, and I am sure the world will follow. Is it hard for you to think that even China now has universal healthcare for everyone? Get involved and get going. This is your life that they are playing politics with. 50. The Guardians were an organization built from the Grand Council that is tasked in helping people in various ways. They would help law enforcement in finding and monitoring our violent criminals. They would have the ability to help you in time of crisis and will help you with food, housing, and anything else you require in times of need. This would not be a handout, but a hand up. I know their methods would sound horrible in the Big Brother and privacy aspects, but in the ever-changing world, we need to trust one group to keep us safe. These people have the ability to see everything that digitally flows and hopefully can keep us safe from the quiet planning and implementation of an event like 9/11 and other domestic terrorist attacks that our government was not able to. This is part of the writings that I choose not to further or expand on because it was intended to be a thought of something for the future. It would just be too difficult to think of now when just taking the first steps in changing everything from government to religion is the first priority. This information is more for the people in the next millennium or more, and not something I want used to discourage free God belief, because it's too far of a concept for most believers to grasp yet. If you encourage too big of first steps, nobody will begin to take them, so we must start smaller. But I felt as if I only had one fleeting chance to convey it all and try to form a vision of a future different from the one we will have on our current path. I wish I knew I would have more time and didn't need to be so detailed and out of the box with my thinking. I know I'm right in believing that everyone's first desire is that of safety for them and their family above all else, even money. That safety in the new world will take some sacrifice of privacy while in public and in digital spaces. You can still have to privacy of the home, but we must witness actions in public to protect the majority of the citizens. We must be able to see the behind-the-scenes planning of those that wish to take from us or harm us in one way or the other. When 9/11 happened, was not your first thought that we should have caught that event before it happened? If your child ever were to disappear suddenly, you then will literally beg for any camera or surveillance device that witnessed what happened and be able to provide clues to lead you to your child and the perpetrators before they have time to harm your child. It's most often when crime comes to your doorstep, you wish there was more than what there is, to protect you and your family. There is a difference between surveillance out of safety for all versus the system of control of all, like you see in dictatorships in some places. I believe that the USA, C5SV, and the majority voters will find the limits and a way that is agreeable to most citizens. There will never be something that makes everyone happy because there will always be those that want their actions hidden. We just need to ask why you want such privacy in public. Do you want to be able to take or harm without consequences? So we know there would be disagreement, but we must attach an accurate number of the disagreements and not let a vocal 30% dictate to the remaining 70% like they do sometimes. 51. I am aware of programs that we have now that sterilize everything we shoot into space in an effort to not introduce live cells of any sort, and I agree with that thinking to a point. In my eyes, it's not about transforming Mars or any other close planet into a living planet. I don't think that's possible when you consider the huge system of Earth with its geological processes involving the last kilometers of its crust. I don't know if a planet can sustain evolved life without the plate tectonics process, because I think it's about a lot more than just having life-sustaining gas mixture or temperature for a true natural environment. I might be wrong, but I think you need that cycle of life on a planetary scale for it all to work out properly. That's why it's so hard to find. Remember, the first life on Earth didn't breathe oxygen. That first bacteria had a different diet than we have now. It's more about finding future sources of materials to fuel our expansion, because we can't use the Earth's resources for these substances. And wouldn't it be great if we could bring down our needed materials someday in the future? We must learn to find elements that we need off-world. I much prefer our mining to be done anywhere else. When it comes to a currently lifeless planet, once it's studied remotely, I see no reason why life can't use it. It had its chance, but it didn't work out, but it can still be of value to the living. I would love if the Earth could become this rare object that we treat with utmost respect and to source the needed materials for our lives from other worlds when we can, and let Earth be the rare gem it appears to be in the universe. I did write about after we correct some mistakes and bring those to justice that broke the foundations of our nation, that we should have a Woodstock of democracy at the National Mall. It would be some of our nation's favorite singers volunteering some songs, and we have the largest gathering ever of people from every walk of life there, celebrating our coming together in unison. A family-friendly event that shows the young people a different side than the book burners that have flourished lately, and the rest of the world that the USA is a proud nation of many types of people and races working and living together as one for democracy and freedoms. 52, well, that is most of it in a nutshell, I guess you could say. I know I removed and changed things in this truly last version of Do I Stand Alone? I know my thoughts are pretty extreme these days, and I don't think anyone would like them all, but they are just my final thoughts and nothing more. I know I don't see the world like everyone else, but I just thought some of my life experiences might help someone that struggles with the same questions I did when growing up. I just want to tell you a bit of my journey in life and see if any bits help you in yours. And honestly, I don't think people think very realistically these days, and everyone is consumed in this new fake news gaslighting. I just can't leave without trying to open some minds and eyes, because I work to learn everything that helped me figure out some of this, and why not pass it on what I came up with? The future is yours, and does not need to be the same as past generations. You can change it and make it better. You don't need to be like our ancestors. You can learn from them and treat others better than they did sometimes. I don't think many modern people could even think of actually owning another human like they did. Open your mind to working together to build a better life for everyone on Earth, because at this point, you all need to work together. Everyone is equal in free God, and there is no favoritism for one race or gender. Only because of the recent happenings in our world that I decided to step on the gas, you could say, in updating my writings. If you compare my original posting on Reddit, you will see that I left the part in this one of my fear that a billionaire might want to get the presidency in the future and begin to act as if they rule the world by seizing control of the most powerful nation in the world, but had no idea it would actually happen in my lifetime, and within just a year of me writing that. I envisioned someone in the future from the church, and not a foreigner that wasn't even able to have the presidency. I posted my first rough draft of Do I Stand Alone on Reddit in summer 2024 before anything like that started to happen. BA45 didn't even like Elon back then, and I would have never thought they would team up months later. I saw it was possible, but I would have never guessed it would be him. When the election was lost, and MAGA was so victorious in the last election, I was disappointed and confused. I couldn't see how Free God would have a chance before the climate crisis gets past the tipping point, if it hasn't already, and I know I will not be alive for the next presidential election. I actually lost my mother on election day, and was stunned by that in combination of the election results. I actually was just going to forget it all, but then as things progressively got worse week by week after the election, I could see there might be a plan bigger than I could have imagined. Maybe because of this upsetting event, it would give the motivation needed to have true change that would not be possible in more stable times. With the unforeseen sudden death of my mother, there was no longer a reason for me to hold back, and that is why I stepped on the gas, as you could say, in writing this update and deciding to make Do I Stand Alone into a video book format. I would have never done that while she was alive. I just hope that it's not too upsetting to have it all laid out fast and bare like this, but I felt I had no choice but to be brutally blunt and not try to dance around with what I was trying to point out. I truly am sorry if I upset someone not ready for this type of realist writing. I just saw the possibility that this event was not a death sentence but a 2-year opportunity for Project, a new world to begin. I seen a chance for the world to change not in 4 years but 2. That is all it would take to get the needed votes and begin the change process. If a new source of organization of the young intelligent people in this great nation wants to see a brighter future than what the earlier generations want to leave them, this is the time. The boomers are nearly out of control of the government, and some of the plans they implemented to slow down our nation's progress, with things like gerrymandering and voter suppression, can now be eliminated and bring us closer to a true democracy that most people want. This nation was never meant to be ruled by people with too much power to control us, and we need to stop it. I know change will never come from big media, so it will need to be an army of young influencers that can see the vision of a better world and will teach others about it. I think it's up to you to save this world. So if you are watching this, you might be some of the people the future is waiting for to change the world, who is willing to tell others how you feel. In order to be successful in making a new world, you need to give people a new place to move towards, and maybe some parts of this could be that bridge. I'm sorry I needed to bring certain truths and threads of behaviors to light. I know that it can be disturbing to realize things like the KK reads passages from the same book and in the same manner as those that burned the witches in the old world when burning black men on the cross in the new world. I would never want to do that without giving people a vision of a new possible path of faith in their life without that dark history, and one that treats everyone equally, and everyone can see themselves on day one of creation, and not favoritism for just a certain gender or race. Like I said, Free God can't and won't make you promises of what it's going to be in death, but it at the same time leaves the door open for it to be anything you can dream of in life. My life is nearly over, and I have no answer as to why I'm still here, but hope you understand why I don't wish to be found. I wrote all this during a week when my cancer symptoms returned earlier than expected. I'm not even close to a trained writer, obviously, and didn't even graduate high school. I'm not someone I would choose to write something like this and didn't plan to be doing this at the end of my life. But here we are for some reason. My rare cancer has the ability to change the way my brain functions, and it has caused some short-term memory issues for me. I never told any of my friends or family about any of this, and so they would have no idea this is me, maybe even if they read it. I know the potential for this to be attacked viciously by some, and I would never be able to defend myself from them, and my family is innocent for they have no idea I did this, so they would not deserve any backlash. I just know that I soon will have to begin my end-of-life meds again, and like before, there would be no way I could think and respond correctly. So I hope you understand now why I'm not going to be reading or replying to any comments. I hope people do discuss these things I write about, but I can't be a part of it. My part is done, and I just leave it in the hands of those that find these writings by chance to discuss and spread if they wish. You are free to use any of this and spread it as much as you like. I just don't want anyone to change it. There are no podcasts, books, or anything else coming in the stores, so this is it. I'm not going to come back to see the view count monetize or anything like that in my life, and I hope that if I don't tell anyone in my family about these videos, nobody will take them down when I pass. You don't need to subscribe or anything like that. This is it, and I'm done. The only thing is that I am holding back some things that I would like to say, so I might make one last video to post just before I pass. But who knows if I will be able to do that, but I guess if you turn on notifications, you might get it, if you're interested. I have no idea who or if anyone will ever find these writings since I'm not going to market them, but I hope you understand why I wrote them. I know that the church is filled with many good people that are the most honest and good-hearted people you ever would want to know. These people would never think of burning a book or killing someone if they were not of the same faith as them. Unfortunately, though, there are many that will and do to this very day. Maybe they are not burning witches anymore, but they are still harming others in the name of God. So I see both sides of religious faith and mean no disrespect to those that live the kindest and caring vision of religion. I don't enjoy having to point out the underlying darkness of religion, but I think once you see it and are offered a different path, you might be able to live a life that is free of the darkness you are taught about that doesn't even exist. Imagine living a life free of that fear or thought of potential never-ending doom and suffering. There is no reason for you to live your life in fear of such things in death. Live your best life to its fullest and do not fall victim to others looking to control and mobilize you out of fear, the favorite tool of religion and politics. So in closing, I ask you, do I still stand alone? May we meet again.